Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Calhoun's. And folks, there are 9 area Calhoun's locations, and when you are eating food at those 9 area Calhoun's locations, you can know that that food's fresh from right here in East Tennessee. Whenever possible, they go get food off local farms. Calhoun supports local farmers, and that helps the local economy. Folks, when they talk about it being a taste of Tennessee, it's true. It's actually a taste of East Tennessee in most counts. Calhoun's, happy to have them on this show. Great brand to add to the Sports Source family. All right, folks. In 2013, a group of fans started rumors, or groomers, if you will, about John Gruden. Once it became clear that Gruden wasn't serious about taking the job, on this show, we mocked it. If you remember, we had the old set back then, and I would cut out Gruden faces. And over the course of a show, we'd go to break, and we'd come back, and there'd be more Gruden faces everywhere. That made people who believed the rumors furious. I got ripped pretty good for that. But the bottom line is, those people who believed it right to the end, they're the ones that immediately sent really ugly texts and tweets, I should say, to Butch Jones when he got the job. They believed it was Gruden, so when it was anybody else, they were furious, and I think those folks have worked against Butch Jones from day one. I'm afraid you're seeing it again now. I keep saying some of these names. It might as well be saying Skip Bayless, but Paul Feinbaum started it this week, that he talked to somebody at UT last week, and they're going to go after Gruden, first call. So the Gruden stuff's out there. But the other white whale is this Chip Kelly thing that's floating around. And you've got entire media groups saying, Chip Kelly, Chip Kelly, Chip Kelly, Chip Kelly. Well, he had some NCAA, Chip Kelly, Chip Kelly, Chip Kelly. I see history repeating. When you lock eyes on one candidate and say it must be him, if it's not him, everybody's furious. And I think that's going to be very dangerous for John Curry and for the next coach, whoever that might be, if they make a move. Thoughts?
Agree 100%. You know, I mean, that nails it. I mean, you can't just really, lock onto that one person, especially if that's not very realistic to begin with. You know, you're not going to be happy with anybody.
Right. I mean, even when Tennessee was going after, they went after Mike Gundy. They talked to Charlie Strong, and people, the Gruden people would say, those are smoke screens. It's still Gruden.
Oh, I mean, I think you're definitely setting yourself up to, one, from a fan standpoint, you're setting yourself up to fail as far as your emotions are concerned.
If you just have one guy,
If you've just got one guy, and that's the reason. If and we'll get into different things later on. I think when they make a change, if they make a change, then Tennessee fans ought to just step back and say, okay, what do we want here? Do we want to enjoy football and see if it can be rebuilt in some way from what was it, 9-4? Yes, we're rebuilding from 9-4.
Could be worse this year, though.
It could be worse this year, but that's what,
worse.
You've got 2 straight years of that. So I think if the Kelly people, if that's it, then you've got, 25% of your fan base from day one, if it's anybody else, they're already going to be going into attack mode.
No matter another 25% want Gruden.
Yes.
They haven't given up on Gruden.
So there's 50%.
And I know people who thought it was funny to spread these rumors. I got friends who spread these rumors, and I'm like, why did you do this? They don't realize you're hurting your own program. By spreading this and feeding people and making people believe it, they only get mad when it's someone other than this person you've hung out there. And I'm not saying Tennessee, if they make a move, couldn't land Chip Kelly or John Gruden. All right, maybe.
So it'll work as an alternate strategy to bringing back Derek Dooley as your main target, and then everybody will feel really good when they hire.
That's what the Twitter
PJ
lie will be
Fleck.
about our show today. Yes, that's what they'll spin it as. I was pushing for Derek Dooley to come back or something. I just think that there's a real dangerous, and then on the Gruden stuff, he's friends with Butch Jones. In August, he and his wife were here. They go out to eat at one of my favorite places, Echo. Butch Jones and his wife are down there. Right? They're pals. I don't see. Let's put it this way. Do you think Gruden's aware of how Butch Jones is being treated around here?
Absolutely is.
If he's aware of the fake DUI stories, do you think John Gruden's saying, I could stay here and do Monday Night Football, but no, I really want to go there. That's the fan base I want to deal with, the ones who pick up stories about me.
Well, the same reasons are in place now that kept him from coming here. And that is when he was told, now you got a 20-hour rule. Now remember, he'd been out of college football for 20 years. He's like, what do you mean a 20-hour rule? What do you mean there's recruiting restrictions? What do you mean I got to kiss up to the boosters? What do you mean? He went through this list and said, I don't want any part of that. And Tennessee was willing to pay him, we'll get to that later, but they were willing to pay him a lot of money. to get him here. But he was not going to come here under the circumstances, and I'd be shocked if he ever gets into college coaching again.
He said this past summer, he made the comment that if I ever coached a college,
Right.
I'd get him on probation in a month. He said that wouldn't be good. But
So
he's
he and
the
Lane
white
Kiffin have
whale.
something in common.
Hey, John, I love the people who post something about we've got to spend the money to get John
Hank?
Gruden and then misspell his name.
Well, all right. Look, let's take a look. There are a lot of coaches. A lot of people think, well, go get the big name coaches. And that's awfully small, and I don't expect you to sit there and read it. But what you got here, those are all the coaching changes since we've been on the air. And we're only talking about full-time hires, no interim hires. 31 coaching changes at SEC schools since we went on the air. The ones in bold, Brett Bielema, Gene Chizik, Houston Nutt, Les Miles, Mike Price, those are the only ones that came from Power 5 schools. Only ones. Now let's go to the next graphic there, Chris, if we could. 31 overall changes. 8 in the SEC were assistants at other schools when you hired them. 7 head coaches at non-Power 5 schools. 4 were coaching at some level in the NFL, assistant or head coach. 4 were promoted from the existing staff. So really, there were 12 total assistants that moved up out of the 31. So more than a third. 3 were out of coaching altogether when they were hired, and only 5 head coaches were at Power 5 schools. And how did those Power 5 guys do? That's the next graphic. Brett Bielema was 27-29 in year 5. Gene Chizik won a national championship and then was fired. Houston Nutt fired. Les Miles won a national championship and then was fired. Mike Price never coached a game due to the scandal, and he was fired. And a couple of those where you're talking about Power 5 to Power 5, Washington State to Alabama, that's not really Power 5 to Power 5. Iowa State to Auburn, same thing. So you've really got 3 there, and one of those is Arkansas to Ole Miss. So you've really got 2, Wisconsin to Arkansas and Oklahoma State to LSU. It just doesn't happen that often. Doesn't mean it can't, not saying it can't, just saying there's reality, and then there's what we yell into talk radio and put on Twitter that, well, we just need to do this. It's what everybody else does. No, that's not what everybody else does. As you see, more than a third of the schools in the SEC go out and get assistants. So it's just a matter, this isn't trying to pour water on anything. It's a matter of, hey, look, there is water over there. That's all we're saying. It's a matter of knowing the surroundings, knowing the reality. Speaking of that, is Tennessee cheap? Everybody says it. Well, you get what you pay for. They're always shopping for bargains. Well, we'll come back and look at that. Come on back on the Sports Source.